Hello, Anna.
Hello.
Welcome to Ljubljana Cinema. And
Hi.
congratulations and thank you for your film. It has just ended, so there is a little rumble in the hall still.
It's okay.
We shall speak in English, but I will have to just shortly translate our talk because it's a law in Slovenia that we have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I have invited the people to also ask questions or tell you about how they feel about your film. But perhaps to start our talk, how many communities of smoke sauna are still in Estonia? Are there many? And how did you find the one that you have in the film? Was it difficult?
So, hello, good evening, everyone. So I was born into the smoke sauna culture. In that way, I think also that access and the intimacy was already, it was good starting point because yes, I was born into that. Smoke saunas as buildings, we have also on islands, we have like in some parts of Estonia, but the culture and the spirituality of smoke sauna and the heritage that is still kept alive, this kind of place where you go and wash your body and also your soul, and this is very much alive still in southeast Estonia, and that's also where my roots are. It's belongs to the indigenous culture of Võro and Seto, and this is like that is now in UNESCO also. It is the southeast part, and you can translate and then I talk more.
Pravi, da je iz jugovzhodne Estonije, kjer je kultura teh dimnih, ali kako bi rekli, savn še zelo živa in da se je tudi ona rodila v to kulturo in da je to del Estonije, kjer živi avtohtono prebivalstvo. But this concrete community is these women. Do you know them? Did you get to know them through filming?
So it started with you can say sisterhood that I'm part of, and I can talk about also the process of my work with them. But then I made the film 7 years, and women started to come, like more people started to approach me because Estonia is so small. It's 1.3 million people, the whole country, just 1 million people. And of course, the community in the south is even smaller. So it started to like form its new communities, you can say, that film connected. And once there was even this, that there was a woman drew with her car onto the farm where I was living and filming, and she came out and she was like, "Where is the smoke sauna? I want to be in the film." And she ended up being in the film too. So you can translate and then I talk about the process. Yeah.
Thank you. Da je film snimala kar 7 let in da se je razširil glas o tem, da snema film in so zato ljudje govorili o tem in začeli tudi prihajati. Ena ženska se je prav pripeljala, da hoče biti v filmu.
But the process, I want to talk about it because it's very important, and I think in terms of, in general, talking about films, it's not just, talking about stories, but it's about how we make films. And when here there were 3 important points how this intimacy was possible. So first of all, I had a rule for myself that I will not convince anyone. And that is very different from what they taught me in film school. In film school, at least in my film school, they taught about, you should convince, you should seduce your subjects, but I was against it, and I am against it. I feel, especially this kind of film, I cannot overpower them with my voice, but their voices have to be empowered all the time. So I didn't convince, I met them. I met, as I said, it started from the people, the community that I knew, and I was very open and honest the level of intimacy that I'm looking after. And only those who were like, yes, we want to be in the film, I continued. But when I felt there was hesitation or there was no, then I didn't convince. I said no. But then, as I said, 7 years I made it. Some changed their minds. So there were quite a few who on the 3rd year of filming or 4th year, they connected to me again and they said they are now ready to be in the film. I will tell more, you can translate.
Pravi, da se zdi zelo pomembno, bolj kot naprimer, ko govorimo o zgodbi filma ali pa tako naprej, pomemben proces snemanja filmov in da se je odločila za 3 pravila, ki se jih bo držala. In prvo pravilo je, da ne bo nikogar prepričevala oziroma silila v to, da razkrivajo svojo intimo. Zgodilo se je tudi tekom snemanja, recimo v 3. letu, da je kdo prej hotel sodelovati, katera od žensk potem ni več hotela.
Then second thing is that usually when somebody says yes, they are agreeing to be in the film, then production brings these legal papers that subjects have to sign. And for me, it just felt so wrong. Like I always put myself into this position. I'm thinking, like, would I do it for my daughter? Like asking these women to be naked, body and soul, and they don't even know what they're gonna share and what stories, because we only knew when we were in smoke sauna and the stories started to come up. So nothing before and saying, like, signing something, it felt very wrong to me. It felt like this is not the way actually the smoke sauna experience also is. So as a filmmaker, it's super, super important that you have the people that really trust your vision. And I had luck to have producer, Varja Močnik, who really shared my vision, supported it, and took huge risk. And the risk is that we had agreement that only in the post-production, when I have the edit ready to show, I show it to the women, and they have the right to say yes or no. And I'm considering their voices. And when they are like, yes, that's it, then they sign the papers only there. That's the second point. You can translate. Then I tell the third.
Druga točka tega procesa se zelo navezuje na prvo, in sicer ponavadi je v navadi, da ko se z nekom dogovoriš za snemanje filma, da podpišeš neko pogodbo z njo, da pač se sodelovanje res zgodi. Ona je rekla, da nikogar ni hotela siliti v to vrstne pogodbe, ker vendarle bodo te ženske razgalile tako telo kot dušo za njen film, in da to pač ni kar tako. Je imela srečo, da je bila njena producentka izjemno, da sta se strinjali o tem in da je podpirala, kajti v bistvu zmenjeni so bili, da šele na koncu, čist na koncu procesa, se pravi v montaži, ko je film zmontiran, pokaže tem ženskam, kaj je v filmu, in potem one povejo, ja, to lahko gre v film in to ne. Tako da je imela veliko zaupanje in sodelovanje.
And just saying about that point also, that what is interesting, I was always concerned that, everyone would feel safe and they feel empowered. And I didn't think, and like that they are fine with the stories, what we have chosen. But I didn't foresee that actually everyone was happy. Because I had not convinced them. So somehow everyone actually nobody asked to remove their story. There was only one story where the woman said that she wants to have the story, but she asked, can I ask somebody to somebody to say it, not her voice, because she was afraid that parents would recognize her. As I said, Estonia is very small. But then I said, no, then I will take it out, because all the stories that you hear, they are happening. We didn't know them before. We had to be ready to enter the hot smoke sauna, have the process, and whatever started to come up. So and they were just happening in front of there in the camera. And somehow that energy was so strong that for me, asking somebody to read this story, her story, somebody else, didn't make sense. So I took that off. But what I didn't foresee is that there might be people who are really sad that their story is not in the film. So I had to comfort two women whose story was not in the film. And I really had to take time to spend with them and to make sure that they understand that it's not that their story is not important, that their life is not important. But, you know, because I had 200 hours of material and putting this an hour and a half together. So that was something that I didn't foresee, that I have to actually comfort some women that their story is not in the film. And now I know from that experience to do it already before in my next films, to really, especially when you make films with non-actors, with people who you have to, I learned that I have to explain the filmmaking process, that it doesn't mean that it's not important if, you know, if something is left out.
No, s tem spoštovanjem in zaupanjem v resnici se je zgodilo tako, kot je mislila, in nobena ženska ni hotela nič iz filma vzeti. Edino ena je želela, da bi njeno zgodbo rajši brala kakšna druga ženska, zato da ne bi njen glas razkril v tem majhnem estonskem okolju, kdo ona je, pa se je režiserka vseeno odločila, da ne bi tega prijema uporabila, ker glede na to, kako spontane so ostale zgodbe, bi to zelo štrlel ven. Ni pa predvidela nečesa, in sicer tega, da v resnici so bile zelo nesrečne, žalostne in prav prizadete, konkretno dve ženski, katerih zgodbe niso bile vključene v film. Ona pri 200 urah materijala za 1,5-urni film pač ni mogla vsega vključiti in se je zdaj naučila, da bo pri naslednjem procesu snemanja filma tudi to predvidela, opozorila neprofesionalne igralce, kaj se lahko zgodi, da ne bi takih tovrstnih pretresov čustvenih ljudem povzročala.
And then the third point about working with these women was that, you know, they're naked there. So what I was really worried about was that even though when we go to smoke sauna, we go there all naked, there is nothing sexual, you know, we sweat together, bleed together, it's all very natural. At the same time, naked female bodies in society are so sexualized and objectified. So I was really scared, like my big fear was that before the film, that how to make sure that that non-sexual glance comes also to the film. And for that, me and cinematographer, we took time and we went to smoke sauna together, and we were filming, we were looking the visual language on my own body first. And where I was like, okay, here I feel safe, here I don't feel, like we were kind of calibrating the glance. And then we found our language, and then we filmed it, and then I showed this to the women before, because I feel it's very important that they know how their bodies are being treated. And I think in general in filmmaking also, I think it is very important what is our glance, and that our subjects have to have the right to know how they're, especially in this kind of film, how their bodies, how they are being treated through the camera lens.
Se pravi, in še tretja točka tega procesa je bila, da se je bala, kako bo vsa ta gola ženska telesa posnela, pa da ne bo to kukorkoli spadalo, da ne bojo kukorkoli spadla seksualizirana, glede na to, v kakšnem svetu živimo, in da sta z snemalko naredili to, da sta šli najprej sami se snemati v savno, in je snemala njeno telo, in sta našla en vizualni način, kako to posnet, pa da je primerno za film. In potem sta ta način pokazali ženskam, ki so bile v filmu, a ne, da so razumele, na kakšen način bo njihovo telo obravnavano.
And then I can just add that yes, another rule that I had was that before entering smoke sauna, we don't talk about what we're gonna talk about there. We are really entering. We have to be ready. Camera has to be ready. It was the real hot smoke sauna. Emotional, everything has to be ready. We enter there, and then one smoke sauna session is average is like around 4 hours. It takes time. And we entered there, and we always entered into the unknown, whatever started to come up. And how it is that, you know, through the heat, first the physical dirt starts to come up to the surface from deeper layers, and then the emotional dirt starts to come up. I told the women, no pressure. If nothing comes, no problem. And but at the same time, because I'm born into the smoke sauna culture, I have been going there since since I was baby. Yeah? I knew that I was not worried, because I knew things appear, because we are all as like moving memories. Yeah, we have those memories inside us. We have the stories. Like, for example, if I could right now, somebody told me, Anna, make a film of these people in Ljubljana, these people there, of all of you. I don't need to know what stories you have. I trust that if we would go to smoke sauna and you would all agree to be in the film, strong things would come up. That's my knowledge, that's my experience with years of being in smoke sauna with different people. So I was not afraid of that what we will get. We have so much, you know, so much inside us.
In vsakeč, ko so šli na en ta, se pravi, session, a to lahko rečem, ki traja približno 4 ure, nikoli se niso nič pripravljali, o čem bo tekel govora. Zaradi tega, ker je zaupala v to, da se bo v tem času najprej začelo čistiti telo in potem še vse ostalo. Da, ker je tudi rojena v to kulturo in pozna to kulturo in tudi misli, da smo ljudje taki, da prej ali slej stvari, ki so v nas, pridejo na dan in da je treba v to zaupati. Shall we ask the audience if they have, ama mogoče kdo od vas kakšno vprašanje ali pa prosim. Čakaj mikrofon, da te ona sliši. Tamle je gospod.
A ta princip tudi moški uporabljajo?
Aha, if this is a principle of sauna that also men do or only women?
Thank you for the question. No, men also do. Men also do. Traditionally, when we talk about tradition, then traditionally men and women went separately. But you know what is so interesting? When the film came out in Estonia, March last year, yeah, then I got so many men telling me that, Anna, you know, why is it so that they go to sauna, they go to smoke sauna, and they talk about the bullshit, not about the real shit? Why do they avoid intimacy? And then I've gotten 4 offers, different people of like into my email of Estonian men who are like, hey, I can support some money, please make smoke sauna brotherhood film. And then I'm like first encouraging them that, hey, you know, start the brotherhood, start this kind of brotherhood that you really share, you really are vulnerable. So yes, men go, but at least what is the feedback, what I hear is that it's much more difficult for them to really open up. And of course that is got to do with this patriarchal mindset that we are all suffering from, that tells how to be and how to be strong and how to be strong man, and you should be strong and not show emotions. And then what I'm encouraging all is that, you know, the real strength is the courage to be vulnerable and and you can be the first courageous one. So now, after the film came out, I know that it has inspired many sisterhoods to form in Estonia, because Estonia is not just South Estonia, and also brotherhood. So I know also men who have started this really opening up, using the saunas emotionally to be vulnerable also.
Se pravi, da tradicionalno moški in ženske hodijo v te savne ločeno in da so moški na projekcijah rekli, kako a ne ženske zanimive in intimne stvari govorijo, moški pa samo se nekaj prepocavamo tudi v teh savnah. In dobila je celo par ponudb, da bi posnela kakšen film, je pa tudi rekla, da je po projekcijah film spodbudil nastanek kar nekaj teh sestrskih, ampak tudi bratovskih ali bratovščin, savn, kakorkoli se sklanja pač. Yes. Še kakšno vprašanje mogoče?
Eno vprašanje na balkonu.
Hello, first I would like to congratulate you for creating such a beautiful movie.
Thank you.
It was really touching to see all these primal features of women that are not really sexualized, and you can really see the beauty of the person from inside. Like you can really feel every single story that woman is sharing, like how difficult life can be for someone, or even just that you can see how much more is to one person. And but my question is, so the women that were just speaking, they decided not to show their face, so they were just comfortable with speaking, right? And what about the figures that were in the time while the women were only speaking? How did you create these figures? Because they were really nice, like especially the one when she was talking about the husband. I really liked that figure. It was really, really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, we were following who wanted to show their face and who didn't want to show their face. And I actually counted last year one day, like how many women are there in the film, in the final version. There are 25 women actually, and not all are speaking, but their presence is very important. And it's like when we think about let me speak about a bit the space, because that answers your question. Smoke sauna is a place where what is so fascinating is that there is a place where you can really share your story. You can be really seen in that way. Your soul can be really seen, and you are really heard. And when I started to make the film, I thought that the most important is the courage to share the uncomfortable. By uncomfortable, I mean, emotions that often we hide, connected with shame or hurt, pain. But when I started to do the film, I realized that the most important is the courage to hear the uncomfortable. Like in society also, are we ready to hear the uncomfortable? Only then, when we have the spaces, the safe spaces to hear the uncomfortable, there is sharing, and through that healing can happen. So yes, this what you touched about the figures is actually like listening. We are listening, and it was on second year when this one woman, Kati Kivilo, who is there with her face and with her name, she said that she wants to be in the film, and she wants to be there with her face and her name. And at that time, most of the women wanted to share their story, but not with their face. As I said, Estonia is very small also, so they wanted to share, but they liked the way we had. They felt safe with the visual language, where they didn't want to have their face. Then suddenly Kadi came and she was like, I want to be with a face. And at first I was like, oh, but I was making this film without faces, because, and then I understood, no, Anna, you were making a film about this sisterhood and giving safe space for these women to find their voice and share their voice. And when she wants to be with her face, you have to find a way. And then we went to Smoke Sauna and we filmed, and I noticed how amazing is Kadi as listening, as she's a listener. And then she became, in all Smoke Saunas, she became like a sauna keeper. She went through the whole process. And I understood that that she had really given a gift for the film, because through her face, we actually, as audience, can also hear. And so yes, and in Smoke Sauna, even when you just, let's say you would come and have the experience, you don't need to share. Sometimes someone is there who's there listening, but then letting it out and hearing, and that is so important. So all these people that you see, they are integral that this kind of sharing is happening and that kind of safe space and communal feeling is happening.
Gospod je vprašal največ okoli tega, kako lepo je ta telesa, kako na nek globok način je ta telesa posnela, pa je rekla, da je v bistvu bistveno to varno okolje, ki ga seveda sestavljajo ljudje. Da je sicer so mnoge recimo težke stvari, ki jih težko razkrijemo, ampak da je pa morda še težje te težke, neprijetne stvari poslušati in slišati, in da to varno okolje to dopušča. Potem je pa še govorila o eni ženski, ki je prišla, da bi rada se tudi obraz snemala, ker prej so bili še, da bojo samo deli teles, potem so se dogovorili, kdo hoče tudi obraz, no, ampak in s tem obrazom je ugotovila, da prav da je ona poslušalka, da je to, kako posluša tisto, kar je tudi en integralen del, kakor tudi vse te ženske tega varnega okolja.
Actually, I can share my first smoke sauna experience that actually I thought is like an impulse to make the film, in the sense it was not the first time I went to smoke sauna, because you start to go there when you're in the mother's womb, but the first initiation to sisterhood, and there I was listener, and that was the very, very profound experience. So I was 11 and my grandfather had just died, and his body was in the farmhouse in the countryside, and then we went to smoke sauna one day before funeral, because this is also what you do, and there was my granny, my aunt, my niece, and my granny revealed that grandfather had actually cheated on her, and not just once but several times, and lived with another woman. And then she confessed how difficult it was, Soviet occupation, after the war, 4 kids, and she released all the emotions connected with that. And I remember there was a lot of pain and shame and hurt, and I was there, 11-year-old, listening, mostly listening, and just at some point letting it out, with these chants and like, whoa, letting this out, supporting my granny. And once we went out from smoke sauna and we put clothes on, I felt that granny had made peace with grandfather, so that next day we could bury grandfather in peace. And this was really the time when actually smoke sauna as a space opened to me, and I really understood that, on this earth, there is a safe space where absolutely all your emotions, all your experiences can be shared, can be heard. And when we give voice to our story, and when we give space to hear other stories, there is huge, huge healing power. And this is like when you experience that, then this space comes with you, stays with you, even when you come out from smoke sauna. And I wanted to share that space to the world. And I wanted to give that feeling that this kind of safety and this kind of space where we really hear each other out and see each other is possible. And it doesn't mean that we have to be the same. We are not the same. We don't need to, pray to the same God. We don't need to believe in God at all. We don't need to vote for the same party. But we can come together and hear each other out and really hear, because often we think that we hear each other, but it's actually, somebody wants to judge, gives a judgment, starts to teach something, starts to preach, thinks their own things, but really just hearing that experience, that story, and that's beautiful. And I hope that we have more this kind of safe spaces in this world to hear each other out and not just polarize and be against each other.
Rekla, da je v bistvu impuls ali pa mogoče glavni impuls za ta film. Ko je prvič pri 11 letih obiskala savno, ni bilo prvič, ker je že kot dojenček seveda hodila, in to je bilo potem, ko je njen dedek umrl, in so šle z babico, s teto, z nečakinjo, in se je zgodilo to, da je babica, dedek je bil mrtev na kmetiji, njegovo truplo je tam ležalo, one so šle tja in babica je povedala, tudi se požalila, kako jo je dedek varil, večkrat varil, kako to vplivalo na njeno življenje, odnos z otroki in tako naprej. In je bilo ena težka, taka situacija, ampak razkril se je tudi, da potem s temi pesmimi in potem, ko so še odšle ven iz savne, da je ona pri 11 razumela, da je babica se nekako pomirila s tem dedkovim početjem in pač z njim, in tudi začela razumeti ta varni prostor. Potem pa zdaj s tem filmom je rekla tudi, da ta varni prostor nekako ostane v tebi, da ga nosiš s seboj, in je hotela s tem filmom to v bistvu podeliti še svetom, in potem še poudarila, kako pomembno je v resnici, da se poslušamo, da ne, ko nam nekdo nekaj razkrije, o tem sodimo ali ga pa hočemo poučiti ali pa kaj podobnega, kar radi počnemo, ampak da res slišimo, ker to nas v bistvu združuje, pa če smo si še tako različni. Yes. A še kakšno vprašanje mogoče?
Ja, tukaj.
Hi, it was really beautiful film. Thank you, and respect to all the women that were willing to participate. My question is not maybe it's a bit technical, but I didn't want to be, I wanted to be one of the women who said the question so that not only men ask the questions. But my question is, you mentioned the role of a sauna keeper. Did I catch that correctly? Is there a special role that this, for instance, this a lady or this woman took that was prepared to show her face and so on? Is this like a special role, or is this just whoever owns the sauna is a sauna keeper? Thank you.
Thank you. So and so. I mean, I believe that heritage is organic. Somebody, I'm carrying the heritage, and it is living inside me. And I feel that when we talk about heritage, it's we have the critical thinking, what we take and what we pass on and what we don't pass on. And so in the heritage, when I know some who are like, yes, there has to be a sauna keeper always. And but for me, I am not so rigid in my thinking, in the sense that I'm more open, and I feel that when heritage becomes into ideology, it becomes problematic. And so answering to you is that it has been all kinds of different ways. And there are some who like there is a sauna keeper. Well, sauna keeper, there is a role that, let's say, how you even heat the smoke sauna, because it's a building without chimney, and you have to know how to heat it. So there's one person always, only one person who heats the smoke sauna. Otherwise, it could catch fire and so on. You heat it before 6 to 8 hours, depending on the temperature, and then you let the smoke out, and then you can enter. And while you are there, you don't put more fire. So there is like a sauna keeper in that way, who heats it up. That is always. But ritualistically, there are healer ladies to whom you go, or who comes with you to even when the sauna is owned by somebody else. My granny was a healer lady and a sauna keeper, you can say, but she was open to also this, that hey, we all go to smoke sauna together, and organically are together there. So that is my answer to you. That both there are sauna keepers, and when you want to have very let's say you want to have a healing sauna, and you go to the healer lady, then she's the sauna keeper, you can say, but she can also come to some other sauna, not her own. But then, yes, I have had profound smoke sauna experiences where there is not one person, but it's all together experiencing. And I've also had profound experiences being alone. There are different kind of, there are also smoke sauna, special smoke saunas for example, in Spirit's time. For us, Spirit time is in the late autumn, where we believe our ancestors come to visit us, and then you make smoke sauna for the ancestors. And I've been to this kind of smoke sauna experience alone with the ancestors. So yeah. But Kati, she became like a sauna keeper. She became like a sauna keeper in terms of that film and for us.
Na vprašanje, če obstaja prav vloga skrbnika oziroma skrbnice savne, je rekla, da ja, da vsekakor mora nekdo skrbeti za ta ogenj, ki se najprej pripravlja 6 do 8 ur, pa da se stvari ne zažgejo, pa da skozi trajajo, ampak da obstaja pa tudi res ta tradicionalna vloga skrbnice savne, ki je pa zdravilka v resnici, in da če hočeš res to doživetje, očiščujoče doživetje, da pa potem pokličeš njo, ona ni nujno, da prideš k njej, lahko tudi ona pride nekam drugam. Povedala je pa tudi, da je zelo veliko, zelo različnih izkušenj tovrstne savne doživela in da so bile zelo lepe. Še kakšno vprašanje, mogoče? Aha.
Thank you for the beautiful film. I loved the songs and the singing, so my question is about the music, because it seems that the songs have the role of purification just as much as heat and the water, and are they the part of the sauna tradition as well?
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Chants are chanting is very important part of the purification, and actually maybe I should just say something about the spirituality that smoke sauna belongs to, and this is the spirituality that is like, it's the deep connection with nature. So, and also understanding of time, perceiving of time is different. Perceiving of time is not linear from point A to point B, but it's cyclic, like in nature. So for me, And how you are in smoke sauna is like you're inside the heat, then you go out to breathe, you come back, you come in, and that starts to change the consciousness. And it's dark space. There is no electricity, and yes, there is the heat, there is the darkness, and there are these chants. And I think what to take is. It's the belief in our culture that when you say something, you create that. There is power in our words, and when we, when we chant something, then there is even more power. And it's this connection with your voice, and it's the healing can happen sometimes also just letting it out. Yeah, you let the voice out. You like you let it out. You don't know what it. You don't conceptualize what it is that I'm letting out, but the shit goes out, and so you can let out things, but also you can ask for things to come. Yeah, you can and there are chants, but what to take is, I think, the essence that there is power that we, through using our voice, there is healing. We can empower ourselves and others, and there are songs or these chants that are passed on. Like in the film, actually, there are 2 chants that are passed on to me by my granny, so a very personal chants, or even three. So there are chants that are passed on. But then also there are like words just come to you. And actually our healers traditionally have been healing a lot with words also. Words come to you. And I encourage always people when going to sauna or smoke sauna, let the words come to you. And then it's again like, it's like taking the essence of a tradition. What words resonate with you, you let it out. You let things go out from you with your voice, with your words, and or pray for things with your words. And so this is very important part of healing, and in general in healing, even outside sauna, in our culture. And this, but then there are in the film. I mean, there were also some songs that women were singing outside. For example, sauna. It is not part of like now you go to sauna and this song comes. It's just these songs started to come, or they started to improvise. But I think it's the deeper meaning there is the power, is the voice. How to find your voice, how to give voice, how to give yourself a voice, and how to give your story a voice, and how to give and how to understand, how to find that voice, because we might have all these voices around us, but how to recognize your voice. So this is all part of the healing process.
Da je duhovno tega procesa zdravljenja zelo seveda povezano z naravo, da je tudi dojemanje časa zelo drugačno v savni, ker ni linearen, ampak je cikličen kot v naravi, in da je potem tudi glas in petje en zelo pomemben del tega zdravljenja. Glas kot nekaj, kar ti da moč, da v bistvu si slišan. Hkrati je pa potem še povedala tako zelo veliko o tem, kako pomemben je glas, kako ti da to moč, da v bistvu najdeš svoj glas, ali da se izraziš ali tak ali drugačen način, da pa so v filmu uporabljene tudi ene druge tradicionalna glasba, ki pa ni čist neposredno povezana s tem izkušnjo savne.
And important is also silence, There are some who are like, the silence, because that starts to happen, that starts to come in that heat, because through that you go deeper and deeper, and deeper layers of your story or your experience start to come up.
In potem je seveda zelo pomembna tudi tišina v tej vročini, ker z njo potem gremo vse globlje v zgodbe oziroma v to, kar prihaja ven. I have been warned that we have to wrap it up. So I would really like to thank you again for your film and for this beautiful talk. I would like to thank the audience for coming, and I think we can have another applause for the beautiful film.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I just want to share one last thing. I was, my granny, who was a healer lady, she used to say that because there are a lot of chants connected with water, and water is a very important element in the healing also. And you can really go to water and ask the water to take the pain and all this. And she was telling me that because we also consist a lot of water inside us, that sometimes that when we have traumas, then it's like frozen water, then water inside us freezes, and we can sometimes find ourselves in deep dark winter when there is just ice field and seems that there is just cold and ice. And then it's so important not to forget, to remember that frozen ice has the power to flow again. And flowing is life. That's the energy of life, the movement. And we just need safety and warmth. And then we can melt all our traumas, all that ice inside us. So I want to just wish that courage to all of us, and safety for all our lives, to have warmth and safety to melt all our traumas and flow.